Hello, I'm Zach.
I'm Laura.
And we are...
Articulate Warbling.
And we are going to review the latest remake of another Stephen King property. And that will be...
Firestarter.
You twisted Firestarter! Rebel Firestarter!
What's going on, sweetie?
Something feels weird. Something's changing.
You remember the tools we taught you, right?
Pencil, desk, paper, shoes. You're weird. Everything okay, Charlie? It happened again.
What happened?
The bad thing.
If you ever start to lose control, what do you do?
It didn't work.
They should have used that in this film. Not that it would have saved it. Anyway, give us the plot and do it now. Sorry, I've been watching special features of Michael Bay. I've become a little bit demanding. Do it! She's giving me the death stare.
A couple desperately try to hide their daughter, Charlie, from a shadowy federal agency that wants to harness her unprecedented gift for turning fire into a weapon of mass destruction. Her father taught her how to diffuse her power, but as Charlie turns 11, the fire becomes harder and harder to control. When a mysterious operative finally finds the family, he tries to seize Charlie once and for all, but she has other plans.
What are her other plans?
To not be seized?
To hold the hand of the man who ends up killing her mother?
Oh yeah, that's true.
And walking away with him? I know that's meant to have like some deep, dense, like multi-tiered level of, oh, I see that you are as abused and as manipulated by the system as I am, but it felt flat. So, when this trailer came out, I was just like, no, I'm out. It's very rare that a trailer is so bad that it puts you off wanting to see the film.
But I came up with a good point, which is that we cannot be effective film reviewers without seeing as many films as physically possible, rather than just seeing the films that we want to see.
And have an interest for.
Exactly.
That's why we're going to have to go see everything, everywhere, everyone, all at once, pull my finger, jump twice.
Exactly. And Top Gun.
Top Gun Maverick, yeah. So going forward, we're going to be watching movies that we might not have an inclination for. This does not include Downton Abbey, A New Era.
No, it doesn't. But we're going to try our best, and we're going to go in open-minded. And I say we because we are going to go in open-minded.
Yeah.
And we might end up liking Top Gun.
Well, I came in open-minded with this in the end, because I'm like, I really like Zac Efron. He's never ever appreciated as an actor. He was always the poster boy for Disney, and then not Disney, and then just... His career was about his looks, about the name and the face rather than the acting. Have you seen the movie where he plays Ted Bundy, the serial killer?
No.
I really want to watch that because he's meant to give a performance of his life, and he has done
It's meant to be very good.
He has done really small indie movies, but because they don't get the exposure like, let's say, a Disney property or a Hairspray or the comedies that he's done, like the Neighbours films. Are they called Neighbours? It's Neighbours in America. What is it? Neighbours, Bad Neighbours, and Bad Grandpa and all that. So he is a skilled actor. He's self-deprecating. He can take the piss out of himself. And if you give him a good script, he's a good actor. So from the off, this movie, it's a strange one. I can't really summarise my feelings about it, even almost a week after seeing it. It's very strange.
Well,
it's better than the trailer, but that's not saying much.
after we went to see it, you said it was boring to the point that I could have fallen asleep, but if I had woken up and it was still on, I wouldn't be that bothered.
I wouldn't be that bothered, no. I mean, if this was on television, if it was on television halfway through, I'd be more than happy to watch it.
Yeah.
But it isn't a good film.
No.
It's choppy. Also, they want to pull off... It's more science fiction thriller than horror, and it's leaning more into the science fiction elements. What I recall from reading Firestarter long ago, it's a very science fiction-y novel. It's about telekinesis, corporations, and less about the horror tonalities. I think the Drew Barrymore one, which was released in 1984, was just flat-out horror. It was almost, let's do a Carrie film, but instead of her getting using telekinesis to move and shift things that just burst everything into flames. If you're going to make a movie that you want to focus more on the sci-fi element, you're going to need to prioritise budget towards the effects, towards the flames, towards the pyro elements. I think this felt a little bit flat and after the fact. This director has already directed a movie which is beloved called The Vigil, and Keith Thomas, and you know, Blumhouse nurture independent filmmakers. If they make a really good movie, Blumhouse will snatch you up. They've done that recently with the British director Rob Savage, who did Host. They've snapped him up and they're like, we want to make low budget movies with you. So I understand why Keith Thomas took this. It's a Stephen King property. Stephen King's name sells, you would think. Not really, not anymore. Not to the extent his more popular properties like It would. But mostly Stephen King adaptations became a hot thing, they sizzled out. Then they became a hot thing again, and then they sizzled out. No pun intended. They burnt themselves out. That got Laura. My milkshake rings in my mouth to the heart sizzling, they're better than yours. Swallow the milkshake. Just swallow it.
I don't know why that tickled me so much. Sorry, say it, don't spray it.
This movie didn't have enough sizzle. It also felt like it was undecided whether it wanted to be a PG-13, which would anyway get a 15 rating here when it's horror related. I don't want to go into the BBFC thing. I've done too many videos on that and not enough people give a fuck. Or it wanted to be R-rated, which usually is a 15 or an 18 here. You could really tell that they were so undecided what way they wanted to go, because every time there was something gnarly, they cut away from it really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of disappointing, because the makeup effects that you do see, you're like, where is it? Where have you gone?
Yeah, you can't appreciate it, can you?
No, because it's just cut away. And for a movie that's only 92 minutes overall without credits, it's like 85 minutes. It was really just really disappointing. It was flat. I mean, the scenes with Zac Efron, with the young actress who's really good actually. She's got a real breadth of emotion, and she is actually quite a threatening presence. You know.
Best child actor I think I've seen.
I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I think she's the female version of Jacob Tremblay, who played the young man in Wonder and was in Room. She has that type of adult maturity, whilst also being able to play the age she's playing. There's a breadth of emotion that you get. This young girl is wise beyond her years, and that's the best type of, I think, child actor you need. Someone who, you know, looks like they've gone through so much in their short life. Let's get the most haunted looking child. I liked that they focused on the parents. I liked that they told their story in almost the opening title sequence. It was. I thought that was handled deftly. I just think there wasn't enough there. Also, the organisation wasn't much of a threat. It was like a second thought. Also, it didn't feel like these people were really on the run. It didn't have a scale and scope that the story wants to have.
No. I mean, it wasn't very clear who this organisation was, because it was like you can't call 911, which is the emergency services, but they're not connected to the emergency services. But when she blew up a toilet cubicle, they called 911, and it's like it's a bit sort of like, well, can you call 911 or can't you? Like, can you involve the emergency services or can't you? It wasn't very clear who was who, why, what was going on, and then it all sort of rushed through.
Yeah, and the woman who supposedly wants to do the best for these people associated it, she wasn't, either they cut loads of scenes or some backstory. She was just smug and in your face for no reason. It was like played to like... I
don't even know why she was there.
Like 12, she just kept getting in people's faces like, I'm running this now! I'm going to do my smug smile. Okay.
Weird.
It was flat.
Yeah,
The score ripped off Ludwig Göransson's music for Tenet in a lot of ways, and this is John Carpenter and Cody Carpenter. John Carpenter, the world-famous horror director who now just does scores for remakes of his old movies like Halloween and Halloween Kills. He's basically found a niche of making music. It's a bullshit choice, because he was in line to direct Firestarter in the 80s.
Right.
So for them to say, can you get some of your influence? Because he's got a good relationship with Blumhouse. It's like, well, if you like John Carpenter enough as a filmmaker and a vision, why don't you put money towards a project for him instead of just getting him on to do music for other people's works? It's kind of sad, really. Also, the score was... meh.
I didn't even really notice there was a score, quite frankly.
So that was what
Couldn't
really...
comment on it.
That's really what got me excited initially. I'm like, oh, okay, so if they're bringing in John Carpenter, it's going to have those John Carpenter, like, vibes. But it was just flat. It was flat.
It is both a shaky 3-star movie and a 1-star movie.
Yeah, it could easily have been a
Wobbled into
3-star film. But I'm dead set on it being a 1-star film because...
I met in the middle and went for 2. Because it's a shaky 3 and also a 1, so I was like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to give it 2. Because it's not a recommendation, but I feel like
No,
one,
I agree with
one
you
is
on
a
that,
little
so
bit mean.
maybe 2. Yeah, 2, definitely. Because shaky ground, there's enough in it to keep you entertained, but then the rest of it is just flat.
It's like, I wasn't sitting there like, when is this going to end?
No, it's just like, when is something going to happen?
Yeah, but I wasn't like bored either. I was both bored and not bored at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm still very, very confused about how I feel about this film, but I am going to stick with my 2-star rating.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where it can be. It certainly can't go any higher.
No, I don't think so. So it isn't a recommended watch. Sorry, guys.
But we saw it,
We saw it.
and we're going to make the effort to see as many films as we possibly can fit in our busy lives, which is about to make Laura far more stressed than she needs to be.
I mean, see the films if and when we can, and
Yeah,
if we miss
exactly,
them, we
but-
miss them.
Yeah, if we miss them, we miss them. But I think we do need to make more of a determined effort to go and see films that we're not interested in. But we can't be film reviewers for things we fancy.
Yeah.
Because it's narrowing our viewing
Exactly.
down, and actually we need to expand that. So we need to go and see Top
Thinking
Gun
like
Maverick.
a proper film critic. Excuse me. Film critic, then.
Yes, I think so.
I don't know if I'm going to cut that burp out or not.
I feel like you both should and shouldn't. That's how I feel about this film.
Yeah. You should
So-
and you shouldn't.
There's our review to the 2022 remake of Firestarter.
And now Laura's going to have to go and record footage for me.
I'm not, because I haven't got the internet.
Oh dear, she can't do that then. I can't do anything. I can't make this then until one of us has
Saturday.
internet. Until Saturday. Anyway, we've just gone on a tangent. Remember to
Like
share.
and subscribe to the Articulate Warbling YouTube channel.
Bye, guys. Film critic. Excuse me.